Good evening, everyone. It's 7:02, and I'd like to call together the May 2nd, 2024 school committee meeting. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Forget what
It's like it throws words out of my mouth. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. This evening, we have a consent agenda posted, which are the minutes from our April 11th, 2024 meeting, as well as the bills and payroll. We have a motion to accept.
Move to accept.
Motion made by Jen,
Second.
seconded by Elaine. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's our first opportunity for interested citizens. We have quite a few folks in the room tonight, but I think I know why you're here. But we'll pause to see if anyone wishes to speak before the school committee, if we have anybody at home. Hearing from no one, seeing no one, we will move on. Jay's here, great. We'll move on to the recognition portion of the evening. We've got a number of things to cover this evening, but Jay, you're first up with the student representative report.
Oh, sure. Okay. So for the Russell Street School, they finished their ELA MCAS at all grades, and they're beginning to get ready for the math MCAS next week. The staff at Russell Street had a wonderful lunch provided by the Russell Street PTA yesterday for Teacher Appreciation Day. And as always, it was an amazing opportunity to sit and eat lunch with colleagues, and the Moe's fajita bar was delicious. Russell Street School had their Alice safety drill this afternoon, and special thanks to SRO Meg and members of the Littleton Police Department and Littleton Fire Department who were on hand to help out. The Can Do It STEM Challenge is underway, and Russell Street students and staff are looking forward to seeing how they came out. For Shaker Lane, they're excited to have their final Spirit Day next Thursday, with the Spirit being a summer day. And they would also like to thank the PTA for a delicious staff appreciation luncheon yesterday. Not many announcements for the middle school. They just had science MCAS the other day. And then for the high school, on April 26th, last week, we had prom at Mechanics Hall. On April 30th, a couple days ago, we had a blood drive in the parking lot. May 1st, so yesterday, we had CPR training for seniors, and also it was NHS induction ceremony for incoming members of NHS. On May 6th through May 17th are the AP exams for high schoolers. And on May 8th is the Roman banquet. On May 9th is the spring concert and art show. And on May 16th, there's a band and chorus banquet. That's all.
Awesome. Excellent. Thanks. Any questions for Jay or all set there? Thanks very much, Jay. Superintendent Clenchey, is there any other recognition you wish to
I have,
state before we move on to the next one?
let's just go on to the next one, please.
Perfect. So at this point in time, I'd like to pause and thank Jen Gold for her 3 years of service on the school committee. You've made a valuable contribution. We appreciate from the student, staff, and community all the work that you've done. Jen's, I hope I'm not going to say too much here, but Jen's involvement with the school committee was sort of like singular issue related prior to joining the school committee. So as a parent, she was very involved in advocating her position as it related to our COVID strategies, and then wanted to do something about it, wanted a seat at the table, which I think all of us can appreciate, and would encourage really anyone out there that if you want to get involved, the best way to do that is to actually get involved. And COVID didn't last forever, which was a great thing, and Jen's involvement did. So after we sort of muddled through the COVID situation, Jen and Beano tackled the school start time project, which was really something that had been kind of kicked down the can had been kicked down the street. Election cycle after election cycle, everyone said they were going to do something about it, and Jen said, well, we don't have anything to do with COVID so much anymore, so let me try to tackle that. And then Jen also served on the budget subcommittee as well and was a valuable member there. We've had some challenging budget cycles. So I can't thank you enough. You've been a wonderful member. I appreciate you sticking it out all the way to the end, and wanted to open it up to other school committees, Superintendent Clenchey or anybody else that would like to say something for Jen.
Yeah, I'd love to. So we got to work really closely together the first year in the school start time project, and you were the person, like, you actually had the idea of forming a committee the way we did with the two teachers and the two parents or the two students.
Noah's Ark.
The Noah's Ark, as we called it, exactly, and mindfulness and bringing everybody to the table and thinking about sort of what were the parameters that we could work with, and then I did, you know, some of the data because I love doing that kind of stuff. Like, I just feel like we were such a good team in that, and we really kept the communication going. Your emails that you would draft every time, I have no feedback. This is so wonderful. Like, it was just such an amazing team, and I think it really showed because that was a very, what could have been sort of contentious situation. I know some other districts dealing with that, but I think because we sort of took the time to get feedback from the community and really, you know, make it a data-driven decision, that it went the way it did, and that it's still successful now. And that's sort of our claim to fame, I think, but really could not have done any of that without you.
Thanks for listening.
Jen, thank you so much for your commitment and dedication to our students, staff, and families, and the district. You're one of the COVID survivors, and you're never going to forget that. It was a pleasure having you part of the team as we maneuvered through something we've never seen before. Because of the team we have here, we did all right, and our students, 2.5 years later, have done well as well. So nice to be part of something like that took a lot of time and energy and steep learning curve for all of us. And in terms of the busing component, thank you so much for being part of such a huge change in our district. That's one of the first changes that the school committee has been heavily involved in a number of years. And it went, as Mino said, it went so smoothly, and we really didn't have a lot of conflict through that process. And that's because the process was well defined and it was inclusive. I'm going to miss you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for not only our team, but our community as well.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. I think this is a highly functioning group of 5 adults here on the school committee. And I think that is a testament to you, Dr. Clunchy, and to all of us. I think we work very functionally and respectfully together, even when we don't always agree. And we've seen examples across the country over the years of school committees that are the farthest thing from that. So I give you credit for that as in terms of leadership, and to all of us as just a good, like I said, well-oiled machine. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve. Thank you.
We have a token of appreciation.
No.
So
Thank
you very much.
you.
We can cover you for a picture. I don't know where these pictures go.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna do a quick picture.
It's a good thing this is really an empty room today. To do this in front of. Usually there's no one here. It's so embarrassing. Yeah, come.
All the welcome.
Still in the middle of it?
You're in the middle, bud.
Yeah, right. So we don't get to
Fire.
You want the TV or don't want the TV? So let's spin this way.
Yeah.
Jay.
Just a little bit. That's good.
Oh, gosh.
All right, you go 1, 2, 3. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
See that you didn't make a statement.
This is the other front page of the paper.
Right?
Be in the newsletter.
Yes, we'll be in the newsletter. Yes, send me that.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Justin.
All right. Moving on to recognition item number 3. So US News and World Reports. Take it away. I don't have to read it.
I'm pleased to announce this evening that Littleton High School earned high national and metro area rankings in 2024 best high schools ranked by US News and World Report. By earning the national ranking, they're in the top 40% of high schools in the nation. And in Mass LHS, ranked 36 and the nation 834. It's interesting, last year we ranked 1021 in the nation and 41 in Massachusetts, so it's a considerable improvement in the ranking. What's really intriguing to me is our score as a percentile was 95.28% out of 100. When you look at that spread to get to the top school in the nation, not a lot of points. So I've asked Dr. Harrington to spend some time looking at what separates us from the top school in Massachusetts and the top school in the nation, so we can really start digging down on the data. I know it's only one data point, but it's an important data point as well. So congratulations to the high school, and that doesn't happen without the dedication of our families, students, and staff, and administration. So congratulations.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, next up, it's great. We're gonna get to hear from a couple students. So LHS student recognized for excellence in Massachusetts Science and Engineering Fair. LHS student sophomores Annika Jacob and Siddharth Padamati present their fair boards and science projects that were recognized for their excellence in the Massachusetts Science and Engineering Fair. Please join us at the podium
They're gonna go up under the TV.
or underneath the TV. Sure. If you were.
If you do it
Yeah,
there,
you can
then
do it
the
here and we can kind of
Yeah.
locate and that way we can.
Yeah, we can.
Alright, so my name's Siddharth and I'm part of the LHS STEM Research Club this year. And I attended MSEP this year and I earned the award for environmental science at the fair. And my project was on the effect of waxworms and their biodegradation of plastic using the enzyme polyethylene. So my project uses the study of waxworms to solve the growing problem in plastic pollution. So some background on this problem. Plastic is one of the biggest pollutants in our environment till today. There's around 400 million tons of plastic produced each year on average. And around 60% of the ocean is covered in plastic currently. And if we continue at this rate, there will be around more plastic than fish in the ocean by the year 2030. And additionally, the average person consumes around 1 credit card worth of microplastics per week. And these microplastics can cause impacts on the human body, such as hormonal differences and immune reactions that are detrimental. So my project looked at waxworms and how their enzyme polyethylene can biodegrade plastics and specifically shopping bag plastics, as they have thinner layers of plastic and they have longer chains of carbon, which allows the polyethylene to decompose the plastic at a greater rate. So I created three groups of waxworms. 2 of them were experimental groups to see how the plastic would degrade with extra food and without extra food. And another one was a control group with just waxworms. So I observed their change in plastic over the course of 5 weeks. And I observed at the graph below, you can see there was a decrease in plastic mass over the 5 weeks. And when I statistically compared each groups, I found that there was a significant difference between the control group and the experimental groups, determining that there was a significant decrease in plastic and the waxworms did biodegrade the plastic. And additionally, when I compared the 2 groups, one of them had extra food and one of them didn't. And I observed that there wasn't a statistically great difference when I did my t-test value, which looks at the standard deviations and the means throughout the weeks. It shows that the value is greater than 0.05, which means that there is greater than a 5% chance it was due to random error, which means that the plastic, additional food with the plastic did not affect the results of the waxworms. Therefore, my conclusion was that waxworms can't sustain themselves with just plastic and without extra food. And this shows that for future research for waxworms, they can be used to biodegrade plastic as they're able to sustain themselves organically without any extra food. And by using these waxworms, we can eventually maybe try to find ways to observe how polyethylene can be used in labs and produced in labs. So this biodegradation can be done on a larger scale. So waxworms, they have the scientific name Galleria melanola, and there's also many different types of waxworms that have different properties that allow them to produce different enzymes in the. So that is my research on waxworms and their biodegradation of plastic. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. First off, thank you so much for coming to school committee to present your project. I've worked with MSEF with another district and I know it's a really big deal what you've done, and to go to the state level is quite an honor. So thank you for bringing this to us. I was wondering if, so polyethylene is the enzyme that was breaking down the plastics. So is the outcome of your project that polyethylene produced in any number of ways would be used to break down plastic, or that would, is it some role of the waxworms themselves that's
So the
necessary?
waxworms, they produce the enzyme in their saliva, so it's a natural process that they use to break down the plastic. My conclusion was mainly that they were able to sustain themselves on just the plastic without extra food, because I compared two experimental groups and one of them had extra food, and my research was to find how we can further the research on waxworms and biodegradation. And then for future research, my idea was that we could observe how they produce the enzyme and how it can be used in laboratories to do this on a larger scale, because it doesn't produce any byproducts that are harmful for the environment.
Oh, good. That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Very cool, thank you.
Excellent.
Your presentation was also really good.
Yeah, excellent.
It's very complicated thing to explain to people that don't consider themselves science. So you explained it in a really simplified way and it sounds so impactful.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So how did you come up with this idea?
So actually, I did this with another partner and we went to MSF together actually. So we came up with the idea through just researching on different websites. And then I also found out that these like statistics about plastic, and I wanted to see how we can reduce this detrimental effects of plastic, because when I read about it, I felt that there was a lot there's a lot of plastic that needed to be cleaned up, and how it affects us is very impactful. So I thought we should find organic solutions to this problem.
Excellent. Job well done.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Okay, hi, my name is Anika Jacob, and I'm a sophomore at Littleton High School. And I've been competing in science fairs since I was in 7th grade. So this is my, I think, 5th year doing this. So this year I won the Pauline J. LaMarche Award. It's awarded to one student for outstanding development and execution of a project. So I was very honored to receive this award. And I just want to talk to you about my project. So my project is called a study on the effect of caffeine on the growth and development of zebrafish embryos using quantitative assessment. So the reason I started this project, or the reason I even came up with this, is because it's something my mom used to tell me as a kid. So when I was younger, my parents would drink coffee in the morning, as I'm sure most adults do. So I would drink coffee. So my parents would drink coffee in the morning, and then I would always go up to them and I'd be like, "Hey, can I have a little sip of it?" And my mom would always, she's adamant that you cannot have coffee in the morning and you cannot have it as a kid. She said it would be bad for my growth and development. So I've been hearing this for so long. And then once I started high school, I saw all of these kids walking around with like Dunkin' refreshers and all of these different drinks that had caffeine in it. So I was like, there is no way my mom is correct. Because all these kids are drinking it, then I should definitely be able to drink it too. So I was like, I'm gonna prove my mom wrong. So
Yeah.
I started to research about caffeine and how it affects organisms and how it affects growth. So as I started reading about it, I started to learn about how not only does caffeine affect neurological changes in adolescent growth, but it also is a pollutant in the environment, which is something that has not been heavily studied in environmental sciences. So that's how it led to my question. I wanted to know about, okay, if I see these kids around me drinking caffeine and drinking like significant amounts, how is that going to affect them as they grow? Because between the ages of elementary school till your mid-20s, you're still growing and developing. So if kids are drinking this and more caffeine than has been consumed in the past couple of generations, how is that going to affect their growth and development? So that's why I chose a model organism. So I used zebrafish embryos, and they are like, they come as like a little fish egg. So what I did was I had 4 groups set up with about 20 embryos in each group, and I had them in 4 different concentrations of caffeine. And I was looking at how, if they were exposed to this level of caffeine, which was around 0.18 milligrams per 10 milliliters. So that's actually the amount of caffeine that's found naturally in the environment. So then in the environment, there's about 3.6 grams per liter of caffeine in water. And I divided that in half, and I distributed that on a 10-fold basis to each of those 4 experimental groups. And I looked at them over a course of 6 days. So I would image them every day, and then I would have them under a microscope. I'd image them every day. And then once my 6 days of testing were over, I actually put these images into a AI model called Fish Inspector. And so the cool thing about Fish Inspector is it's actually it's a model that uses AI to identify the different body structures inside of a zebrafish embryo. And it was actually developed by a professor in Germany. And he developed this because he wanted to reduce the amount of effort that goes in for a scientist in researching model organisms and in seeing how they grow. Because usually what scientists have to do is they have to manually go in and measure out different body structures that are found inside of model organisms. And that process is extremely time consuming, especially if you have such a large sample that you're looking at. So what he did was he created this AI model that compared your input with various other models and was able to give you a rough measurement of what the body structures were in the organism. So I actually contacted him in Germany, and I actually had a great session with him. He explained to me how to use the AI, and actually this tool has only been used in around 7 projects in the United States. So I was one of the first people to be using it at a state level, and it was extremely helpful. I was able to image over 256 images of zebrafish within 2-3 days, which was really great. And I actually was able to measure their body structures. So I measured their eye size and their yolk sac size. So the reason I picked those 2 structures was because as an organism grows, from an egg to an embryo, and then they become a larva, as they grow, their yolk sac should be getting smaller because as the organism grows, they're getting bigger and using up the nutrients in that yolk sac. And then their eye size should be getting bigger as well, because when you get bigger, your eyes will get larger as well. So that's what I was looking at, and I was able to use the AI to measure their body structures, and it actually came up showing that there was statistical differences between each of the experimental groups. So it showed that caffeine was actually affecting these organisms. So my mom was right. So that was a good job, Mom. She's over there.
Yeah.
So she was correct. And I mean, it was really interesting for me to learn about this because as I was reading more about how much, what's the level of consumption. There was a study that was conducted in 2023 last year in New Zealand, and it was surveying children under the age of 15. And it was saying that of the kids in New Zealand under the age of 15, almost 97% of them reported drinking 2 or more caffeine sources a day, which is a significant amount. And it's actually I think it's very important that we are aware of the caffeine consumption that children are having, because their bodies and their growth is very important. And if you are putting in an inhibitor, a drug into their body at such a young age, it can have detrimental effects in the future. And it was even to a point where I was seeing death in these organisms as they were going, as the days were passing. So I think it's a very important study that was conducted. And for next year, what I want to do is I want to see where the accumulation of the caffeine results as they're consuming caffeine, where using biomarkers, I want to know where does that caffeine go in our body. So yeah, that was my project. Thank you for listening. Anyone have any questions?
I just want to say that was awesome. Your enthusiasm, I mean, the subject matter was incredible. You explained it so clearly, but also your persona, your enthusiasm for the science of it and the way you tied it to your personal story. Don't ever lose this. It's so great. You really conveyed that excitement around the science and how it ties into real life. And I hope that you keep this hunger and excitement for science the rest of your life. It was great. Great job.
I hope you're gonna do a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna show this recording to my daughters because it was very, very compelling.
Yes.
And it's a very sort of personal issue for you, which you can really hear in your caption.
Yeah.
I have a quick question about your methods. Why did you choose zebrafish to study?
That's actually a very interesting question. So the reason I chose them was initially I wanted to actually test on the fish, adult organisms. So I had actually contacted around 10 labs asking to see if I could get access to test using their resources. But however, they were like, we're not taking high school, we're in the middle of this college season. So I actually had to find a solution for that problem. So that's why Miss Finnerty was doing some research, and she found that we could actually purchase embryos and have them shipped to the school. So I picked the embryos specifically because they have a very rapid growth. So within 24 hours, you can see a heartbeat, you can see body growth, like it's very quick changes. So in such a short period of time, they made such a good model for growth.
Oh, this is awesome. I wish I could go back in time and monitor my children's caffeine and. And I love that your mom recorded the whole thing, and she'll probably clip out everything except the part mom was right. So thank you so much. That was amazing. I know. So great.
All right. That was really fun. Thank you both for joining us this evening. We're gonna roll into our presentation portion of the evening. We've got 4 presentations to hear. Sorry, we're already there. 3 presentations to go. So first up is presentation number 2, State of the Curriculum Reports. It's part 2, 3 content areas. I'll read it as it's written, but oftentimes you folks have an order of you have your own preference, but elementary curriculum advisor Rachel Duarte, Ann Brzezinski, Susan Mitchell, Nicole Patterson, Heidi McGregor will give an update on the elementary curriculum. And then we're going to hear 6 through 12 science curriculum coordinator Valerie Finnery will provide an update on the science curriculum. And then K to 12 fine arts curriculum coordinator Hilary Bridge will provide an update on the fine arts curriculum. We'll take it in any order you like, as written, or however you like.
Elementary's up first.
Elementary's up first.
They were last year.
Okay. Welcome.
Props.
Yeah. We have some fun in store for you guys. So we'll start with the slides, but we're not really going to stick to the slides so much. We really just wanted to share. Well, we'll start with social studies. Curriculum is delivered in the K to 5 in an interactive and hands-on and collaborative way in social studies. And there's a lot of project-based learning, a lot of collaboration that goes on. One of the things that we build at Shaker Lane, so forgive my voice, it's a little raspy tonight. At Shaker Lane, we start building the foundation of all the same kind of curriculum pieces like citizenship, geography, Littleton history, Massachusetts history, right up to the United States history. We sort of start out at Shaker Lane and then they pick up at Russell Street where we've left off. So we do a lot of, like I said, interactive learning. So tonight we thought we would show you an example of some of the interactive learning that we do. So one of the ways that we start talking about the United States is through national symbols. And one of the symbols that we talk about is the Statue of Liberty. And the Statue of Liberty stands on Liberty Island, if you've ever been to New York Harbor. And it's a pretty massive, grand statue. You can see her if you're driving on the highway by New York Harbor, you can see her standing. If you're flying overhead, you can see her standing. She stands there to welcome visitors, immigrants, returning Americans who are coming into New York Harbor. The statue has become a symbol of our freedom and democracy. Students learned that Lady Liberty, as she's also called, was gifted to us from France in 1886 as a celebration to honor our 100th year of our Declaration of Independence. And the statue is made of copper, which copper is usually brown, but when exposed to the elements turns that kind of patina green that you see. She's a woman dressed in a long robe, holding a torch in one hand and a tablet in the other. She stands 150 feet toe to torch. So these are some of the facts and some of the things that we talk about. We do a lot of nonfiction reading. We have buckets of books on each of the symbols that we cover, and students can pour through the books. They're available all day long. So before school, when they come in, they can read. We share reading during the lessons as well. And they have them, throughout the whole time that we're there. So one of the fun things that we really do, and interactive things we do to really sort of talk about the scale of the statue and what she represents is we bring 2 or 3 classes out at a time outside, and we have all these pre-measured pieces of yarn. And we try to get the students to guess what part of the statue each length of yarn represents. So tonight, we're gonna try that with you guys to see if you can take a guess, knowing that this, from toe to torch, she's 150 feet tall. The base that she stands on is another 150 feet. So there's a grand total of 300 feet overlooking New York Harbor, right? So we have all sorts of things that we have measured out, but I'm gonna give you a hint. What I'm gonna show you is either a finger, an arm, her eye, her nose, her mouth, or toe to torch, which there's not enough room in here. Toe to torch, that's when we go outside. But I'm gonna show you this piece of yarn, this length, and I will tell you how long it is. And you can take a guess as to what body part you think this represents on our statue. This is 4 feet, 6 inches, taller than a first grader, the average first grader, I should say, because there's some tall first graders, but what body part do you think this might represent on the Statue of Liberty?
Finger.
What were our options?
Finger,
The
eye,
options
mouth.
are a
Mouth.
finger, an arm, an eye, a nose, a mouth, or toe to torch.
Finger.
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 I'm trying to think, 150.
I know, the scale's hard to do in my head.
It is hard, right? And imagine if you're a 6-year-old, so this was really helpful when we showed them.
Like
just how big
this
it was.
compared to your body. It's
That's like
what,
30.
3 inches. 3 inches. Compared to 6.
Thanks about it.
So if
So we have-
1/20th of my height, is that 1/20th of 150? I'm doing a little algebra.
Yeah.
No, it's
It's
too big.
Kids just start shouting it out. What do you guys think?
I
finger.
You think
I think
finger? Eye, finger. This is actually her nose.
Oh, the
So
nose, I forgot about
She's got a 6-year-old basically hanging off her face. That's how long it is. So anyway,
Yeah.
this is an example of some of the interactive things that we do with the kids, and they get to use their imagination. They get to really see things kind of in, a different perspective. So, again, it's a lot of project-based, hand-based, collaborative learning, K to 5. That's just a first grade example.
That was a hard one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Buckle your seatbelts. It's like that part.
I love it.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over to, I'm Ann Brzezinski, by the way, I'm a first grade teacher at Shaker Lane. And I'm gonna turn it over to, who's next? Rachel Duarte.
Thanks, Ann.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Duarte. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Shaker Lane. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. All right, I'm here to talk about science. We use the FOSS curriculum, science curriculum. Each grade level, K to 5, studies the earth, physical, and
Life science.
Life science. So you can see my kindergartners are right there. We're studying forces, pull, push, and motion. This year was a really cool year because we were able to experience the solar eclipse in school hours, right at dismissal, which was a lovely time. And thank you to Michelle Keane for purchasing each student with solar glasses. Because I teach kindergarten, I didn't want to be responsible for their blindness. So I looked up online about creating these cool extenders for glasses. So I used an X-Acto knife and the kids could decorate it and they had like a cool, we had some reinforcements and they could put this on and it extends it so that they're not gonna damage their eyesight. A little extender. I decorated it as the sun. I'm here to talk about. Did you know this one? Oh, okay.
Sorry, I can talk about it. Though. Yeah, so hi, I'm Susan Mitchell, the math interventionist at Russell Street, and science at Russell Street involves a lot of hands-on activities, as you can imagine. In third grade, I happened to be there taking these pictures. It was so fun to watch them experiment with the magnets and to just how they could create the connection between them if they were trying all different things in the classroom. And the pictures at the bottom I really love because one of them features omelet, and the students are actually doing their science work on one of our therapy dogs. And it's just, and he's just there like loving it as she's like completing her work. And in the other picture, the students are working on mixtures and solutions. But it's just a lot of hands-on stuff. Students really seem to enjoy it. And they get really into trying to do their experiments and all the things. But again, omelet in all areas in the school, it's just a really big hit. We're really fortunate to have him there 3 times a week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, and math is next. You have some tools that you need to use.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
Jeopardy.
Now it's over.
So we thought it would be extra fun if we got to experience exactly what the students experience when they start their math class. And I would say probably 99% of math classes start in this way. Not most of the time it is called Spark Your Learning, which is what you get to do tonight. But sometimes it's just a word problem, but it's always some sort of problem that students work on and try to just get their brains going. So Steve, would you be able to click on this Spark Your Learning link at the top?
Where is it?
At
It's
the
the
top,
right.
the top right. Thank you. So in this slide, this is kind of what the students will see. Again, some teachers project the student workbook, but this is just one of the slides from our Into Math program. And, you know, it's just called Spark Your Learning, and it's really fun to just tell them we're getting ready to just start this lesson, and it's easily accessible. Like, really, there's multiple entry points, which is why I really love it, because even if a student isn't really connected to what we're currently working on, it's like they can do something to connect to this problem to kind of get them warmed up for the math lesson. So you guys have a little bit of an unfair kind of like situation because this is the 5th lesson in the unit. So I will tell you, this is a fraction unit, just to give you a hint as you progress to do this. But does anybody want to read the Spark Your Learning? Because this is what we do with our students. Any volunteers? Come on.
I'll read it out loud. All right, Marcy and Lindsay are playing games at a local carnival. They played a game, Measure Your Strength, and their results are shown. Find how much farther Marcy hits the puck up the board than Lindsay. Show your thinking.
Awesome. Great job.
Yeah.
So also in this particular problem, which is not showing on the slide, students are encouraged to show some sort of visual model. They can use a number line, draw a picture, or do something. So what I'd love for you guys to do, and you can partner up, you can do it with your table groups, you can do it on your own, whatever you feel inspired to do. But go ahead and take a minute to see how much farther Marcy hits the puck up the board. How much farther Marcy hits the puck up the board than Lindsay. And equations are really good things to do.
That's.
Well, what do you, John, what's the
Okay.
6 of 8. 6 more than 4.
That is.
Oh.
really my- I mean, it just didn't have the time to do it.
Otherwise, we're just missing the top. 6 and I versus 4. That's how you could show 6 objects. You know where she is.
Right.
Not the science.
Two more than 4.
More than
which
4.
is half.
Yeah.
I mean, we intuitively know that this is the answer. We know what to do, right?
I explained this in a boring way.
No, it's not boring, it's all good.
6 minus 4. Oh, we did a little.
Oh my gosh.
There's multiple ways to show it.
6 out of 8 versus 4 out of 8. We did like 6 versus
Oh, you told them? I showed them the, this is what I think.
Oh, my God.
And then. Oh, yeah, that's so cute. I'm like, I don't know what it is. All right, awesome job, so far. Does anybody want to share what they did? Oh, you're still so engaged. I love it. Anybody want to share their work?
I think everybody should hold theirs up.
Yeah, hold it up.
My market is over.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Wow.
6
good
8
job.
4 8. That's a.
Oh, and you simplified.
Simplified to one.
Oh, it was. And they, you did subtraction of the fractions.
Yeah.
Subtractions of the
So this is
numerator.
awesome. I mean, the ultimate goal was, so if this was in the classroom, then we would have some time to share. Sometimes kids, if they did it on paper, would come up and share it under the document camera. But this, I feel, this particular way to start the lessons in the classrooms is just it's such a huge learning experience. Because they share, they learn from each other, they explore different ways. We have like number lines over here, straight equations, fractions, and then people could simplify it. Some don't do that yet. So that's all good because then you open up these conversations. So yeah, the real goal, if you're gonna say like the expected kind of answer would have been like the 6 8 minus 4 8 up through there and then equals the 2 8 because the focus of this lesson is representing the subtraction of fractions. And any guesses? So it's either a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade lesson. What do you think?
You already told us.
Oh, I did tell you?
I won't say.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
That's out of the room,
That's
can you
out of the
guess?
Nice job. Yeah, it's 4th grade. Yeah, 14.5, like so towards the end of that module. So yeah, so that is pretty much, we can go back to the regular. And then the lessons continue, sometimes with a few more word problems, and then students break off, as you'll see in the pictures. And Anne will talk about the Shaker Lane.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that we do a lot of math games, so we do the spark your learning as well and build understanding and have a short lesson, and then the kids go out and apply the skills using math games. So we just have some manipulatives there that they're using. We also have these amazing interactive touchscreen TVs that are just fantastic, and the kids can show their thinking to the whole class, like, on their whiteboard, but we can also call them up and work on the TV. And I have a couple of 100th day pictures, because what is like the best math day in the year, the 100th day of school. So kids are building with stacking 100 cups, sorting Fruit Loops into colors so they can make different pattern necklaces with 100 Fruit Loops. So lots and lots of fun, interactive math games.
And then to bridge the connection between Russell Street and Shaker Lane, the last couple of years at Russell Street, we've done the spring festival of math and literacy to kind of, just bring a cozy night at, and kind of bring back all those math games that aren't digital. And it started out a few years ago. We had about 127 people. We thought that was pretty amazing, to be honest with you. And then last year when we did it, we had about 300 and we're like, whoa, we didn't plan for this. And it was a little bit of a fire hazard maybe because everybody was like, it's so crowded. So we're like, oh, we need to rethink this. And then this year, I want to say we had a little over 400 because we did have the 2nd graders from Shaker Lane. We expanded, we got more therapy dogs, but it was just so much fun to see all this enthusiasm around math and literacy and the families that come out together. Kids were like it was like a Disney kind of thing, trying to just pound, to get in, we didn't open the doors until 5 o'clock. A massive amount of teachers helped out in so many different ways. It was just such a fun night, and it was fun to partner with Shaker Lane to do this. Anne was one of our guest speakers. The kids loved participating in all the different activities. And then just some other photos from Russell Street. We also love the TVs so much. The Clear Touches have been like life-changing in so many ways, just especially for math. I mean, we love them. Just can't say enough about it. We try to do a lot of math games, small group work. And then something that Heidi and I tried out this year, yet another thing that we were like, oh, I don't know, will there be interest? Because March is so long. So we're like, what if we did multiplication madness to kind of get people excited about math fact fluency? So we kind of did this thing that, we would focus on the 6, 7, 8s, and 9s, the more tricky math facts. And so we did a raffle once a week. We're like, oh, if you do a raffle, some kids will do it. Again, this was, right, I mean, unexpected, the amount of, people that participated, kids, like the box, the first day first time we did it full, like you can see in the bottom right. Just stuffing it with, like, they would have to practice the facts and put it in there. Then we would have Friday mornings, 5 minutes of, like, everybody in the school drops everything and does multiplication facts. And it was so popular and again, so unexpected that we ended the month and did a survey to get feedback from kids on how to make it better. They're like, do it more often, do division, more prizes, so, do a box in each grade level, which I thought was a great idea. So I feel like it's been a great year at Russell Street, especially for math, and particularly it's been nice to see all the growth with the new math program and the kids getting more used to the wordiness of it. So yeah, it's been really good.
Thank you. I have to say, the fact that you're getting these kids to come back after school hours with the math and literacy, being able to go back to school after the school day is done is pretty amazing.
It's so fun.
You're doing
Yeah,
something
we
right.
had a great time.
I'm here to talk about ELA. We have 3 sections of ELA: phonics and phonemic awareness, writing workshop, units of study, and reading. Currently at Schcmte, we're going through, at Russell Street, we're going through a curriculum review, and we're piloting both wit and wisdom and my view for literacy programs. So all the teachers or a lot of the teachers are participating in that currently. I have a fun game that I'd like to play with you. We in kindergarten use foundations, and we're going to play mystery words. So I'm going to give you a word and a marker.
Thank you.
Before we get started, does anyone know what a diagram is? A diagram.
It's been a while.
It's when two letters come together to make a new sound. That's a well. So WHSHCH. So I'm going to give you all words. We're gonna have just 2 out together. We like to break up sounds so that we can hear each sound, so we can phonetically spell the word. So you're gonna write your words on your board, keep them on your board. And then we're gonna play the game. So your first word is chop. I want everyone to get out your fingers, and you're going to tap out each sound. So we can go ch, chop. And you can go ahead and write that word down. Knowing that your diagrams, BH makes 2 letters and 1 sound. Okay, your next word is 10. You don't have to.
Oh.
Typically, I would make all the kids tap out every word. Your next word is wax.
What is it? Sorry.
Wax.
Wax. We talk about wax. That in kindergarten links is the X sound, but sometimes CKS can also be that sound. Your next word is a nonsense word, so you do your best to spell it. Your word is what. 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 Your last word is a trick word. It doesn't follow the rules. The word is the. It's one of our words. Sorry, your last word is math. Math. So we just did encoding together, we were spelling. Now we're going to be doing decoding. So I'm going to call on one of you and kind of tell everyone which words you want to erase. We all have to erase that same word. And then in the end, we'll have a mystery word. So Elaine, what word would you like to chop?
I'll choose chop.
Jay, what word would you like to erase?
Wax.
What word would you like to erase? Jen, what word would you like to erase?
10.
Stacy, what word would you like to raise? Justin, what's our mystery word?
Well,
Do we all get it?
Yes.
Nice try. Thank you for playing. So it's part of our foundation program. If you're. Oh, interesting. Some of you use a diagram for what.
Oh.
Probably we need to.
Oh, you were doing.
No, I don't know.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Patterson. I teach fourth grade. I'm here to talk to you today about social emotional learning as it flows through our schools K-5. So some of the things that we do to focus on social emotional learning or SEL throughout the day. One of the big things we do is really being aware of like students' levels of regulation throughout the day. So you've been sitting for a while and you'll be sitting for a while afterwards. So let's take a stretch break before we go into the rest of what we're doing. You can stretch however you want. If you're not comfortable stretching, you don't have to stretch. You can feel free to sit down. And at this time, like, well, almost all of us do things like this throughout the day. We might do organized like movement break using like a video on YouTube or on Go Noodle. It might be a teacher designed movement break, or it might be freeform like this, just a stretch break. It's really interesting as the children get older now at the end of fourth grade. A lot of times they're like, we're good. We're just going to sit down and talk with each other. So it's cool to see how they regulate themselves as the day goes by. And it really builds community as well, because you're taking a risk. Like you have to be a little bit vulnerable to be willing to do a silly dance or take a stretch break in front of your peers. So it's just like a subtle way that we build community. Another thing that we do to sort of weave SEL throughout our day is whenever we might sense the kids are dysregulated, revved up, anxious, nervous for a test, even with like our safety drills today. We do a lot of different breathing. Each of us, I'm sure, has our own way of breathing in class. So I am a big fan of box breathing. So I thought we could practice that together. So what you do is like you breathe, you draw a box in the air. So you breathe in, hold it, breathe out, hold it like that. So and that motion also really helps to calm the kids. So great job. So one thing that you will find if you come into any of our classrooms is that SEL is really fully integrated throughout the day. Both in terms of we have wonderful standalone curricula that we use to help teach social emotional learning, but we also integrate the things like you just did as well. At Shaker Lane, there's the Beloved Heart program, right? Kids come up into Russell Street raving about it, talking about it, like earning things for their heart jar, right? I know that Shaker Lane has really valued having an SEL special this year as their 5th special, right? I think that lots of positive feedback from teachers and students. And then sort of a counterpoint to the heart program, when students get up to Russell Street, we do a program called the Stripe program. So if you have a child in Russell Street, they might have come home with a Stripe award. And you can see on the slide there, our wall of stripes. Take responsibility is overflowing, but the stripes are safety, take responsibility, respect, integrity, perseverance, and empathy. So I have stripe awards, blank stripe awards for all of you. So I have a challenge for you, which is sometime, you know, before, do you have one more meeting after this? This
we
year,
have
2 more?
Two more.
Yes.
So perhaps if you'd like, if you're inspired, you might want to give one of your co-school committee members a stripe if you recognize them, showing safety, taking responsibility, respect for each other, integrity, perseverance, or empathy. And you would just have to add in that it's at the school committee meeting, not in the hallway, classroom, bathroom, cafeteria, or recess. The other thing that I wanted to highlight a couple more things. One is that throughout all our schools, we have a lot of calming areas for students. Really building in emotional regulation and emotional management is a tremendous part of our school day, especially as we're educating young learners. So you'll see there some calm corners, our Chillville, which any student can go to whenever they need to. And And also the fact that our second step curriculum runs K through 5. And that's very explicit instruction around specific strategies, problem solving, emotion management, and how to be assertive, lots of skills that many children need to learn explicitly. So it's just a joy to teach social emotional learning, really for all of us, because it's really the underpinning of everything else that we do.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
I'm Heidi McGregor. I'm the STEM integration specialist. This is year 6 of our STEM integration program, which I can't believe we started this 6 years ago. So all of the projects and things that we do that integrate STEM integrate into everything that everyone else just talked about. So my curriculum area is a little different than everybody else's. But before I start talking about some projects, I did want to acknowledge that our STEM program, we received 2 pretty awesome grants this year. So this is an opportunity for me to say thank you. The Littleton Education Fund purchased new robots for our Shaker Lane Shakey's Imagitorium. And there's a little video there of one of the robots. That's actually one of in that SEL special that we talked about that's happening at Shaker Lane. It's a real quick video. The goal that we were working on was teamwork. So the students had to work in groups to design a tunnel and then code the robot. It was pretty great with our new robots. So thank you to LEF for that. And I also want to thank Littleton Electric Light and Water Department because they purchased 3 new 3D printers for our Russell Street makerspace, the Think Tank. So actually, we can go to the next slide. We can watch that video one more time. I do like that one very much. So all of the projects that we do from K to 5 are integrated into our curriculum, and they've been designed over the past 6 years in collaboration with the classroom teachers and myself. So we're constantly fine-tuning them to make sure that they're relevant and they connect to the standards that we are targeting. Our big idea is that STEM is not a silo. It's evident in every single area. So we have snuck it into everything. So it's in our English language arts programs, it's in our social studies, part of our science program, it's part of math, it's part of our social emotional learning, it's part of music. We have an element that's happening in art. And phys ed, I'm working on that. So that's happening too. Our 5 main themes for kindergarten through grade 5 are the engineering design process. So starting in kindergarten, students are learning to train their brains to use a system for solving problems. We do coding starting in grade 1 all the way through grade 5. Every single year, there's at least one coding computer science project. We do digital 3D modeling and fabrication starting in grade 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's projects that build from year to year. Digital storytelling starting at grade 1. And then digital citizenship, which is learning how to navigate an online world, is integrated in every single thing that we do. But what I really want to highlight is that right now we are in the middle of our district-wide STEM challenge called Can Do Golf. It kicked off on April 22nd and it goes through May 24th. And we have a plan for every student in kindergarten through grade 8 to participate in the same challenge during the same window of time. And then we also have high school students who are participating as mentors, creating sample projects and giving encouraging feedback to our students through, we're using a video sharing tool called Flip. It used to be called Flipgrid. So actually, can you show the little video at the bottom? That's our,
STEM challenge?
yeah, that one. Yeah, these are our characters. watching this video so much. So much. So anyway, the idea is that this whole project is based in the engineering design process. So in that video, you saw each step of the engineering design process that our students learn. And then we're building into some empathy because good engineers understand who they're creating for and who they're designing for. So there's a comic that goes with these characters. Their names are Tola, Ruben, Bobna, and Martin. And I have some copies. I will pass them out to you. You want to take a look? There you go.
Yep.
You're welcome. So what we do to launch each project with the students, we read the story, we talk about what is the problem that these students are having, and their terrible problem is that they want to learn how to play golf. And there is no golf course in their town. So the students, these characters walk through their town and they get inspiration. And so the four main elements that we're asking the students to think about while they're working in collaborative groups to create their own mini golf courses is to think about making them accessible so people of all ages and abilities can enjoy it. And the conversations we've had about that has been really inspiring. And making them safe, making it fun, and making it challenging, but not so challenging that it's impossible. And that's another like game design element that the students have really embraced. So our big why are we doing this? why do we do this so that the whole district is doing the same STEM challenge? Is that we want to help our students see themselves in STEM in a way that connects them to a larger community. So when I introduced this I had a third grade class today, and I showed them a couple of videos that some fifth graders had made. And, you know, they recognized kids that they ride on the bus with, or somebody's older brother, or they started to see that, oh, this is how STEM works, so that we can all be working on this, and they could see themselves in a bigger view. We want to promote student agency and feelings of confidence with being creative problem solvers and solution finders. We want to unite our Littleton students with a common goal across schools. But this particular, all of these challenges that we've done, this is our third one, is purposely built in with built-in variability based on interest, skills, and abilities. It's very wide open, so students can apply whatever their skills are and whatever they're interested in to solve the problem. And it's a great time for us to provide some leadership opportunities for our Littleton High School students who are acting as mentors. All right. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, questions, comments?
Oh, that was good.
Job well done.
Amazing.
Amazing work. Thank you very much.
Can I just say, I'm just, I love the way you presented all of your entry points, like those hooks to student engagement, because you really have to hook the kids before you can get them engaged in deeper learning. So thank you for presenting it in such an engaging way for us. And I also wanted to just point out for the community how lucky we are to have, you know, these positions in place. This is not something that every district has, you know, to have elementary coordinators, to have an SEL special as a fifth special, that's unusual. To have a STEM coordinator, that's unusual. And the way everybody's working together as a team for the betterment of the students is a really special part of Littleton Public Schools. So I just, I want to recognize you all, but also, you know, Dr. Clenchey, thank you for putting all of these positions in place so that this whole system works the way it does. So thank you, everybody.
And thank you for bringing your classrooms to us this evening. I mean, when we look at our journey during the past 13 years, we've done a lot of things. And I want to thank you for being creative and committed to looking at teaching practices, looking at new resources, and really focusing on engaging our students in the learning process. So much kinesthetic learning is critical thinking. That takes a lot of work on your design process. So as a superintendent, I'm just so appreciative of the dedication. The fact it was the reading curriculum, writing curriculum, math, science. I mean, we've undergone a lot of changes in the past 13 years. So thank you. And Heidi, I don't know how long it's been a while now, but we had a position that we didn't fill. Had something in mind for it, and I had somebody in mind for that position. It took me 2 years to convince this individual to leave the grade 4 classroom. And again, it was no surprise because Heidi loved teaching grade 4. And I used every strategy I could think of. And Heidi jumped on the train with me, and I look back now and I think, man, you have transformed that district.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. I know. All right.
I know we have
Yeah.
kids standing on a lap table. I think it's gonna be.
Right, we'll hear Valerie.
That is not the first.
No, no. Wrong
What?
slide.
That's not the first slide.
Come on, Steve. Keep talking and I'll
I just wanted to say I have a lot of life transition, so maybe I can miss
I got it, hold on.
the signal. What?
He should be good.
I have a lot of.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
This will be a test.
the test was.
Right,
So I'm Valerie Finnerty. Yes, that's the first. Thank you for having me. So I'm the 6 to 12 science curriculum coordinator. And I wanted to just start with grade 6 to grade 12 on my first slide. So the first image shows a 6th grade student testing the phenomenon of a falling slinky. And they had designed and carried out their own investigations to test why it falls the way it does. And then on the right shows some of my 11th and 12th grade students that an environmental science class measuring the energy use of different appliances. Next slide. Okay, last year, we completed our curriculum review and selected new curriculum materials for nearly all the classes. And when I spoke with you last year, we had not quite chosen the middle school curriculum. So if you click, the middle school curriculum is next. Yep. So this year we've been making adjustments as we've updated and or expanded our units and lessons and aligned our practices with our new curriculum. Next slide. So I wanted to focus this year on the integration of the science and engineering practices as defined by the NGSS and Massachusetts state standards. And so the 8 science and engineering practices are the skills that practicing scientists use to explore the universe, to develop understanding of concepts, to make discoveries, and to design solutions. By learning and applying these practices, our students construct a deeper understanding of science linked to their experiences and discoveries. So the 8 practices are asking questions and defining problems, developing and using models, planning and carrying out investigations, analyzing and interpreting data, using math and computational thinking, constructing explanations and designing solutions, engaging in argument from evidence, and obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. So the examples I'm going to be sharing with you all touch on one or more of those practices. So at the middle school, we focus on the practices of science and engineering. For example, Littleton Middle School 6th grade students gather data and analyze data through graphing to draw conclusions, such as the relationship between a star's temperature and its color. They use hands-on models or samples, such as creating sedimentary rock layers out of Jolly Ranchers. They're using scientific instruments, such as triple beam balances and microscopes, and engage in engineering design challenges to meet specific criteria and constraints and improving on their designs. So if you click, the first picture shows 6th graders that designed a ping pong transporter as part of an engineering challenge. And then the next picture shows sedimentary rock layer models with Jolly Ranchers, and they look very excited to make those. Next slide, please. In 7th grade, students made model homes and tested their homes in hurricane force winds in the spring. They used games and simulations such as the tragedy of the Commons Fishing Lab to learn about science concepts. And they engaged in debate about renewable and non-renewable energy sources. And then picture is they made predictions and observations to learn about potential kinetic energy when a tennis ball was dropped on top of a basketball.
And then the next picture shows that students learned about different impacts humans have on Earth and its resources. And then they use an online ecological footprint calculator and use graphing to analyze the data for different countries. Next slide. In 8th grade, they use the engineering process to design and construct homes of the future to address climate change concerns. Christine Finn, the 8th grade teacher, attended the DESI Innovative Science Pilot Ambassador Training. So our 8th graders were part of the new innovative 8th grade science MCAS pilot this year. And this new MCAS incorporates performance tests where students are presented with a problem, such as will the number of concussions be greatly reduced by banning headers in youth soccer? So instead of a traditional test, they would have to run simulations and collect and analyze data, draw conclusions, defend a claim, or design a solution. The first picture shows students learning about potential kinetic energy. This is a DESI, I lost my place. There. This is one of the DESI innovative tasks. That's an example for the new MCAS. And so they had to design and investigate and gather and analyze data and draw conclusions. And then the last picture is some of the 8th grade model homes of the future. Right, in 6th grade technology classes, students gather data and then use spreadsheets to generate graphs, and then they analyze them and then click. In 8th grade technology classes, they use CAD to create 3D models. Next slide. This is an example of a 7th grade technology class where they work with Scratch to program an original game with mood music. So you can push play. All right, next slide. Just have to click a couple times. So at the high school level, so in honors biology, I adopted a storylines approach this year. I piloted that. It's been very successful. A storylines approach organizes units around phenomena. Students ask questions and use scientific practices to investigate, and the concepts are spiraled and revisited throughout the year. In CP biology, an example of something that they did is they investigated the use of CRISPR technology and presented their findings to their peers. In all of the classes, students design lab experiments, identify variables, gather and analyze data using tables, graphs, and flowcharts, and use evidence to make claims backed up by reasoning. We do a lot of that. We also use games and simulations as models. And then this first picture is a students using a simulation in the form of a game to learn and apply concepts. So these students are playing a population ecology game. And then in the next picture, this is the gel electrophoresis that we used in honors biology, where we had a problem. We're trying to find out which orphaned cub went with which lions. So we're able to do that using the DNA. And then the next slide, in AP biology and honors anatomy classes this year, we had quite a few guest speakers, a lot of whom were LHS alumni. And they came in to talk about their work in fields like genetic counseling, physical therapy, nursing, phlebotomy, and a physician's assistant. Those are all LHS alumnus. And then in honors organic chemistry, which is a new course offered this year, students used advanced equipment, including melting point apparatus and separating funnels. And so that really helps them to prepare for advanced chemistry levels in college. In physics, they use Vernier video analysis software to analyze motion, which I'll show you in a minute. And AP physics students conducted a flying pig lab to measure centripetal force. So all of these are using models to gather data, to analyze, and to understand concepts. So this picture shows organic chemistry, students separating molecules based on their polarity and solubility. And then the next picture is Vernier software, so it shows motion, and then they're able to create a model with it, which they can then change to a graph, which is the next picture, and then determine curve fitting statistics. Next slide, please. This is a video from AP Physics with students investigating centripetal force with a flying pig. Okay, next slide. In other high school science electives, in engineering design two, they began a semester studying materials science. And they completed 3 different labs, and then they designed and created their own material. I'll show you the testing in just a minute. In astronomy, students turned the first floor into a scale model of the solar system. In environmental science, students studied the sources and uses of energy and explored sustainable development. They researched, designed, and constructed an eco-house that met guidelines for sustainability. And then this picture shows students creating their material, testing the material that they've made from concrete, a piece of metal, and a gauze string here. And then the next picture is a model eco-house that utilized principles learned in multiple units during environmental science. Next slide. I wanted to focus again on my the students who were in the STEM Research Club this year. So last year I had 2 kids and 2 projects. This year I had about 15 students, and yeah, we had 11 students who presented at the regional science fair. So this is the Region 4 Science Fair at Tufts University. Next picture. Finn Canning and Finley Pletcher received the award for Outstanding Environmental Science Project at the regional fair for a study of water quality in Littleton, Massachusetts. And then on April 5th, we took another 7 students, Rohan's not pictured, they presented 4 projects at the State Science and Engineering Fair at Gillette Stadium. So Finley and Finn and Anika both came from the regional fair, and then we had Hilda Magic, so into the state fair, and you recognize Sid. Anika Jacob received honorable mention at the state level and was also awarded the Pauline J. LaMarche Memorial Award, which is given to a project that displays excellence in design and implementation. As you heard, Anika explored the effects of different levels of caffeine on the development of zebrafish embryo. And then Siddharth Kadamati and Rohan Pathik were awarded the RICO Sustainable Development Award for their exploration of the use of greater waxworm larvae to biodegrade plastic bags. And then the next slide, I just wanted to enter all the students who participated into the record here. So we had Lazia Muthiala and Caitlin Stimson, who are 9th graders, Anika Jacob, 10th grader, Finn Canning and Finn Fletcher, who are 11th graders, Isabel McCurdy and Kira Rowe, 11th graders, Michelle Madasu, 11th grade, Areen Panda, Om Patel, and Kanan Fletcher, 11th graders, Rohan Pathik and Siddharth Kadamati, who are 10th graders, and Harris Khan, a 10th grader, and Samuel Ledoux, an 11th grader. So these are their projects that went to the state fair. And then we also had 6th through 8th grade student projects. So their science fair, the regional fair, was just last Saturday. So I don't have the results yet, but I do have photos from Christine Finn. So this is one of students, Abigail Madasu, and she, with Ruby Willis and Tallulah Reynolds, did a study on the effect of temperature on water quality. And then the next picture is Ryan Stimson and Bennett Cahill, a study of the effect of temperature on the hatching of Artemia franciscana, which are brine shrimp. The next picture is Anika Gosakunda, algae begon. And then we have Devansh Petty and Stephen Hernandez, hybrid air. And then Pranav Sharma and Vedant Barul, how 3D printing can be used to get coral reefs at home. And then we have Shivani Prakatish and Sanchita Gowda, how does music affect your heart rate? And then we have Nyla Jacob, who I believe is Anika's sister, testing the conductivity of various fruits and vegetables. And then finally, Hannah Lee and Sam Sicioni, turning milk into plastic. And so then the next slide, again, these are their names just to put into the record. So I did want to also say that the high school STEM Research Club had grants from LEF and from the Littleton PTA. So I do appreciate their support. Does anybody have any questions?
This is just incredible.
It
The
is.
presentation we heard. Sorry, just a while ago. But I think, when you sort of talk through the curriculum and how you sort of go through the process and the data collection, and it really shows, I think, in these presentations. And I swear I do not remember science being this fun, or I would have enjoyed it a lot
Science is the
more.
best.
It's amazing, just how engaged and how you're sort of bringing that excitement out.
I enjoy working with the students.
Well, I just want to thank you for your leadership in science in the district. To see how it's grown under your leadership over the years. It's incredible, the offerings that you have, and that I love how you're focusing on the science and engineering practices, because that's really a through line between all of the courses, and it's really, you can see the impact on student engagement. So I think you can really feel proud about the impact that you've had on the district. And I want to personally thank you too for the all that you are putting into these projects for MSEF and, at the middle and high school level, because it's a heavy lift supporting kids with all of these different projects. But it's different from teaching a class where everybody's kind of working on the same thing. But when you're supporting students with a science fair project, it's all these different ideas that need support and your full attention, and then you have to pivot to somebody else's great idea. And it's a heavy cognitive lift for the mentor yourself. So I do
Just say I
appreciate.
love it. So
Yeah.
I
well,
really
you have
enjoy
to.
it. And it's been a step down coming from managing so many projects at the middle school, but only a few at the high school. So it's been fun, but the kids' interests run a bit more complicated, and I think that I've really enjoyed mentoring kids at a higher level. But I have to say too that listening to the elementary school presentations, this love for science and the application of the science and engineering practices is beginning early on in Littleton, and so I think it's moving on through.
It's really
And
great
so we're
virtual
reaping
online.
the benefits.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Look who's here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in.
Hillary Bridge. Before you begin, I just wanted to say, because obviously your topic here is obviously hands-on, it's music. That was like the big theme that I noticed so far, even, from Russell Street, or sorry, Shaker to Russell Street, all the way to the middle school, high school, is like the amount of, we like a number of pictures with students standing on tables or chairs. Just the amount of hands-on learning and like the active participation, like no one, like that's what differentiates, I think, us from sort of that traditional district. And oftentimes we think like, okay, well, we've got to get through this curriculum and it's like a lecture or there's quizzes coming up and all that stuff. But I'm really impressed with the engagement, like the student engagement. I think I can't underestimate the impactfulness of that. So I appreciate everyone's efforts. And then you've got music, so it has to be hands-on.
It is. I was just gonna say, if you want authentic hands-on learning, you should come to a music class or an art class or a
Right.
drama class, because that's exactly what we do. So I'm Hillary Bridge. I am the curriculum coordinator for K-12 Fine Arts in Littleton. And thank you for having me, giving me the opportunity to share what myself and my colleagues have been working on. The
I'm
addition,
working on the presentation.
okay,
We haven't.
okay.
Did you want to see the presentation as you thought?
I don't need to, but there is some videos that I would like to see, or that you would like to see. Okay,
You got it?
Yeah, it's a.
yeah, that is the first slide, so I think that's okay. I just was going to start by saying the addition of new specialist staff at the lower level actually had a great ripple effect in all of the buildings. And so we were able to allow some shifting of staff. So I no longer am shared at the elementary school, and because I was full-time at the high school, we were able to offer 2 new music electives this year. So we were piloting the beginning piano program, which we were able to get through a very generous grant from LEF, and the interesting kismet of obtaining the old Indian Hill building and having the old pianos that were in it and that were gifted to us. So we now have an 11-station piano lab at the high school. And we were able to run a beginning piano class this year, which is also great, as there is a beginning piano elective at the middle school. So we were able to kind of continue that, as students who have had interest in the middle school would have the opportunity to try it now at the high school. The other elective we offered is called Applied Music, and the best way to explain it is like a guided independent study. I have 12 students this year. We spent the first couple of weeks talking about goals and like, how do you set a SMART goal? What is a SMART goal? What kinds of barriers could you get in your way? And really the only prerequisite that students had was they needed to have a musical goal. So I have 12 students, anywhere from students who are learning how to compose. I have a student who's teaching herself how to play the drum set.
I have students who were auditioning for college and were preparing college pieces, so I was helping with them. I have some students who wanted to learn a secondary instrument, some students working with sound technology and recording. So we've had a really interesting semester. And as was mentioned before, I'm bouncing around between all 12 of these students and trying to help them in the best way that I can. But it's been really great to be able to foster some more deeper interests that students have in music. We've also piloted a Tri-M chapter at the high school this year. Tri-M is the National Honor Society for Student Musicians. This is the first year that we've had it, so we're just sort of getting off the ground. They did a display board for Music at Our Schools Month, which is March, and it's still up. So it's still there. They're hoping to get a little bit more visibility in the future, and they want to pilot a buddy program with the middle school music program. So we're kind of working on getting that going. Sort of a big brother, big sister sort of situation there. We've also implemented a flex block chorus. Flex block at the high school is that 35 minutes in a day when students have more choice over their what they're doing. And one of the barriers that I found to chorus is that many students really have a desire to sing but don't have room in their schedule for it. So I started a flex block chorus on Fridays, and they're learning the same, mostly the same music as the chorus class. But we have about 30 students participating in it, which you'll see a short video of in a moment. So that's been a really wonderful addition to allow more students to have the opportunity to perform with us. We continue to offer some drama electives. The students really are enjoying that. And of course, in addition to our regular performances in the music department, we also have performances of Macbeth and Seussical at the high school, which I hope you were able to come and see. And as part of the drama program, they also have Miscast, which is a fun opportunity for students to perform things that they would never have been cast for, and Play in a Day, where they write and perform an entire play over the course of a day. So those have also been some great opportunities that students have had. And in the fine and digital arts courses, the LEF recently sponsored a field trip to the MFA, which was a combined field trip between the AP US history class and the AP art history class. We often have students contributing artwork to the Scholastic Art Competition. This year we had a handful of winners. Cole Horton received an honorable mention in digital art. This is all on the next slide, I believe, as well. Nadia Pavlov received a gold key in drawing and illustration and in portfolio. And excitingly, we had Allie Porter, who received a gold key in film and animation, but she also received the American Visions nomination. Only 5 students per state are nominated for the American Visions Award, and Allie is the first student from Littleton who ever received the honor. So that's wonderful news. The photography class received some new DSLR cameras this year and have been focusing on how to incorporate real world application into what they're doing. And a great example of that was students had some of their designs and their photos used for a flyer for the Littleton Historical Society. And students also submitted some art for Lori Tron's Call for Art to be displayed at the State House. So that was another good opportunity. We had some students photographing the Appleton Triathlon. So there's been a lot of focus on real world application in those classes this year. And then I believe we have 2 short 30-second clips, one of the concert band, and then the next one will be of the chorus. There's no sound. Slide will have one of the chorus, which features both the class and the club. hopefully it didn't have the echo at home. I would encourage you to come see us live anyway. Live music is meant to be seen live. And I don't know if you noticed, but Anika was in the chorus too. So at the middle school, the students in the art room have been creating art that focuses on their technical abilities, but still allows them to express themselves creatively. And so some examples of what students have been working on, some sixth grade students recently worked on a curricular project with some other unified arts classes and have been focusing on drawing, painting, origami, and pottery. In the seventh grade, they've recently worked on silk screening t-shirts and printmaking and taking a deeper dive into the elements of art, which resulted in a large still life drawing project. And eighth graders are currently working on the observational drawing skills and self-portraits. They've also spent a lot of time this year researching the art of other cultures. Some examples of some middle school artwork there. There's masks from cultures, people expressing who they are as a person. At the middle school at the music level, our teacher Ashley Sheldon is currently on leave, and congratulations to her and her baby. And we welcome Miss Sandy Chang to take over for her while Ashley is out. She's been working with the sixth grade general music students on how to read music faster, rhythm reading, as well as getting an introduction to keyboard, which prepares them for seventh grade, where they have the opportunity to play both keyboard and guitar. It also really helps with hand-eye coordination. The seventh grade is on the next slide. Seventh grade music is also continuing their work on the technical aspects of music and rhythm training through games, using boom whackers and drums. They've also spent some time learning about the music industry and connecting sound and emotion. And they did a large project on creating your own record label. And on the next slide is eighth grade general music. In addition to the same technical skills that are being focused on, the students learned a brief history of popular music and its culture for baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z, and compared multiple musical genres. At the middle school level in band, all of the students have been focusing on their sight reading skills and warm-up techniques, beginning basic tuning, learning their concert B-flat scale, and preparing the music for the performance on May 22nd. The chorus club at the middle school is also working on vocal technique and preparing for their performance. At Russell Street, because of the hiring of new staff, Russell Street students each had one extra music class a week per trimester. So the third grade had an extra music for a trimester than the fourth and fifth. And during that time, Mr. Gansenberg had an idea where he was going to allow students to have a little bit of a deeper dive into our melodic instruments. So they had an opportunity to play our diatonic mallet instruments, which are things like glockenspiel, and telephones. Everyone learned an arrangement of the piece from Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was a great opportunity for students not just to expand on their knowledge that they get from a regular music class, but also had them learn something in compound meter, which is not usually a topic that you get to cover in middle or in elementary school. So it's great that they had that extra opportunity to learn those things. And some of the other highlights from this year are rhythmic literacy using Takadimi, which is a system in which you learn how to count rhythm. The rhythm building blocks and classroom instruments students have had an opportunity to use to compose their own music. And Mr. Gansenberg also created a new unit, which was inspired from a session that he attended at the MMEA All-State Conference called Learning to Jam. And he had students contribute ideas for songs that they wanted to learn. They voted on their favorites, chose one. Mr. Gansenberg then created an arrangement of that song using the classroom instruments like ukuleles, bucket drums, mallets, and unpitched percussion. And all of the classes had the opportunity to learn the same instruments and the same tune. So they all learned how to jam together. Mr. Gansenberg has also taken over doing the beginning band at Russell Street, and we're continuing to have a robust program there. And we're happy to see the growth, and he's doing a wonderful job. And then at the art classes at the elementary level at both Paper Lane and Russell Street, students have been spending a lot of time focusing on expressing their ideas and their emotions through art. They've also spent some time looking at art from other cultures and developing their skills by using that art as inspiration. There's a bunch of slides next that have examples of the elementary art stuff. Additionally, they've been focused on creating collaboratively. The Russell Street students have collected over 7,000 bottle caps that will create a mosaic which there's a photo, but it's not of their mosaic because they said will not be revealed until the art show, which is on Wednesday, June 5th from 6 to 8 at Russell Street. So keep that in your calendar. It's some art. That's, yeah, can we advance the slides? Yes, so these are some examples of those. Yep. And then another example of some collaboration that students have had in the art room. We had some Shaker Lane students that worked together to create pies. There you go, that were delivered with veterans meals on Thanksgiving. And finally, music at Shaker Lane. We welcome Miss Lisa Jung to our department. She spent some time this year getting to know the community and getting to know the school and helping students develop their musical skills. She's been focusing on things like fundamentals of music, pitch, rhythm, keeping a beat, using classroom instruments and other percussion instruments. Students are also learning about sound, high and low, loud and soft, beginning to learn about instruments and their families and exploring early music ideas like that. And next year, she has goals to implement more technology to help students create their own music together. And that is a nutshell for all of that.
Awesome job.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, yes.
Well, thank you for all of these opportunities. Like I appreciate how you're trying to make space for everyone to lean into their passion, you know,
Yes.
having that flex block for chorus, for example, you know, it shows your level of dedication. So very much appreciated.
Thank you.
No, thank you for your leadership. We've seen a lot of changes since you've been here. And,
Yes.
Probably sitting back now thinking, wow, look at what, you know,
Mhm.
we've all created together.
Yeah.
And our students are well served with our fine arts programs. Pointed out, Wayne pointed out, the kids are passionate about fine arts. That passionate in high school and beyond. So, really proud of our fine arts program. So, proud of the leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. I also will just mention, this year we have 3 students who are pursuing music in college. So I, of course, always want to support my students in whatever they choose, but it's an extra big part when I know 3 of them are off to study music. So, yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate you also bringing back the impact of the extra position, because I remember that conversation.
Mhm.
Like forgot it, and so sort of really bringing back the impact that that has had for
Yeah.
the students and adding the additional music class and things like that, is really helpful to see. And then I was gonna ask, you mentioned, students having interest in piano or guitar in middle school. That's something they do during school, or this is like an after school?
That's a course that students can take in 7th grade. They can choose between a piano and guitar class or taking general music or taking band.
Oh,
So they have the option to focus. I believe it's half the year they spend learning the piano, half the year they spend learning guitar.
okay.
And we offer both of those classes at the high school, so students really found a passion there. They can pursue that further at the high school.
Oh, that's
Very good. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm optimistic that we're gonna be out of here by 9 o'clock, so,
Really comes to my section.
I think yours is time, it's time, it's a 10-minute show at that.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So next up, the year in review, LPS annual slideshow showcasing our students in school. Special thanks to 2027 students, Emma Lou, Suma Beharavarsa, as well as Julie Lord, creating the year in review video. Kelly, do you have something to preface it with? or-
Sure, every year we create a year in review, and we just showcase our schools and students, so it's a nice way to look at what we've done as we're getting closer to June, and special this year because Julie worked with those students, and they actually created a video for us this year. So, enjoy.
Got it.
Right. Oh, we have Sam.
Hopefully it's on work.
right, that was excellent. Lots of smiling faces. Even get the dogs to stay still. No teeth from the dogs, but that was really cool.
That was very cool.
All right, we will move on to our fourth presentation, which Steve usually is able to keep pretty short, which is the financial update. So business manager Steve Mark will take it away here. Got it. Give Jen an applause on the way out.
Oh, my gosh.
So when you started, Jason? See when you started?
It's my legacy to live someday long from now, people think, that awesome guy that started it.
Wow.
All right, financial report is in the packet and on the screen. Again, it's been the mantra all year. We're on target, on track. Not anticipating a shortfall. We have sufficient funds to cover the budget through the rest of the year. This is a report through April. You notice bottom line, we have a little over 7 million available yet to spend. Remind everybody, watch the school committee. We have, as of this report, we have still 5 normal payrolls to go. That's a little over 5.6 million. And then we have summer payrolls for summer pay for the teachers that they have 26 pays. That's usually around 1.7 million. So, between those two, that's close to a little over 5 million, almost 5.5 million that we still have to pay for salaries and payroll. And then we still have some tuitions, bills that we're expecting in, some other project bills that will come in. So again, we're right on track. We don't anticipate any issues with the budget through the rest of this year. So be glad to answer questions.
I have a quick question about the teacher payout over the summer. Is that encumbered in the FY24
Yes.
money, but then even though it's paid in FY25?
Yeah, we actually issue all the, we actually physically issue all the checks June 30th. So it's
Oh.
actually expended. We're not covering and carrying it forward. It's kind of the same thing.
Right. Okay.
We're actually issuing checks June 30th, and then the treasurer's department holds those checks for those direct deposits and does those on schedule over the summer for the teacher. Yeah.
Since the work here ends at the end of June, we have to take the money out of the FY20.
Makes a lot of sense.
We're in good shape again. And, we've been fortunate on some of the budget line items. We had a relatively mild winter, so we didn't really have concerns with natural gas and heating prices and things like that. So, yeah.
Remind me, if you possibly covered this previously, but what's the 94,590 transfer from regular ed to other instruction?
I think that was just a budget transfer to move some funds around to balance things. I don't remember exactly what it was. I can get back to you on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's staffing,
Staff
Just-
going.
charging people into the right account numbers.
Okay.
We do a review every year and make sure everybody's charging to the right spot. So
And then the 102% on the transportation and busing with still a couple months to go.
yeah, we've got most of it, but again, so if you recall, part of the increase in the busing cost is going to come out of the school choice funds.
Okay.
And so we'll pick up the last couple months of the student transportation out of school choice funds.
Okay.
And then that line also includes special ed transportation and case collaborative, and things like that.
All right. So that the revised budget of 24,433,000, that's not just the appropriated, that's the total budget, right?
No, that's the appropriated budget.
That was okay, so that makes sense that then the overages come out of school choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right.
All right, thank you very
Thanks
much.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Steve.
Always good news.
Good to hear that we're on track.
It's boring, not really.
Steve, you make it so exciting.
That's what we want. We want low
Want
excitement.
more
on the
budget.
budget.
We do it.
Done on the board.
I want a lot to.
All right, we'll take a brief pause here for our second opportunity for interested citizens to see if anyone's joined the meeting that wishes to voice questions, concerns, comments. Dorothy's giving me the move ahead sign, so that's fine. We'll roll through our subcommittee reports and then we'll look to adjourn. So PMBC,
No updates. We have a forum last week, so.
budget subcommittee's next. We don't have any updates either. Sorry, I'm like looking for someone else to say something. Policy subcommittee. All right, great. And the Shaker Lane Building Committee update?
Last update I have is that, what was it, last week, our architects hosted a meet and greet at Shaker Lane, so they came to meet some of us in school committee. Kelly was there, Steve, I think you were there, so met with our OPM. I unfortunately couldn't stay for the whole thing. And other than that, I don't have much other updates. I don't know if anything has gone through with us negotiating our contract. I'm pretty sure that's our next step.
Contract hasn't been signed, but having said that, they were at Shaker Lane, Studio G was at Shaker Lane Wednesday afternoon. Starting to look at the building. Steve and I spent some time with them and it's nice that they've.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours with her.
Michelle, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was there start to finish.
Yep, Michelle was a wealth of information, obviously.
For sure.
To Studio G, a lot of positive feedback. I think Studio G was really open to a lot of different ideas and concepts, so.
Very knowledgeable.
So our next step is negotiating a contract, getting that signed, and then we have to start getting input from staff.
Yeah, Studio G is going to help organize those events for
Yeah.
us. That contract that does have to go back to us. So.
Oh, wait, yep.
How did that meeting work with the cartoon guy?
Went really well.
Okay.
So he should have a draft script for us on Monday. And then we're hoping to have a video hopefully by the end of next week.
Okay.
This cartoon guy.
Yeah, you want to share what that
The
was?
cartoon guy.
Yeah.
We
You want to pull up a desk?
sure, I get a lot of emails every day, as you can imagine, and this one captured my interest. He's a former news anchor. And he's helped a number of schools with various projects in their district, building being one of them. So I reached out to him, had a good conversation, he sent me some sample videos, and what a great way to contribute on the project. So we brought him on board, and he'll probably be making 4 videos or something for us. This is a project for us. If you would want something, do you have anything?
Yep, and
Oh, applause for Jason.
I know, he's had enough applause.
we.
He's on an
A sample of what he does.
Okay.
You may have heard North Attleboro has been accepted by the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or MS. The MSBA is a state agency that helps local school districts pay for the design and construction of schools. High to be accepted. The MSBA process is like a marathon. It takes persistence, endurance, and a dedicated program to achieve. The work is tough, but the payoff is significant. By completing the MSBA process, North Attleboro will unlock tens of millions of dollars that won't come out of our local property tax assessments. This short video is the first leg of our MSBA marathon. We'll explain the need for a new or renovated North Attleboro High School, why the high school was selected, show a timeline of the process, our marathon route, and invite you to join us in the next step, imagining what a new or renovated North Attleboro High School could provide not just to our young people, but our entire community. North Attleboro applied for MSBA funding for the high school because it is outdated, not fully ADA compliant, deteriorating, and at risk of a critical system failure. Opened in 1972, there are many ways North Attleboro High School is outdated.
I apologize, it sounds no.
That's all right. And about a year from now, maybe a little less than a year from now, we'll be in a position to present all 3 opportunities back to the MSBC or whatever it is, about renovate and build, renovate and add, and then knocked down and built new, or it would be built new and then knocked down.
Right,
So that's about 9 to 12 months out.
that's what we're hoping.
So we had some commitment from the staff that they were gonna see the project all the way through, certain members of the staff, so that was good.
I hope to be there.
Miss Deegan, right? Miss Deegan. All right. So that wraps that up, correct? All right, so before we adjourn, I'll just state that town meeting is the 7th, so encourage everyone to make that. And then elections are on the 11th, so get everyone out there to vote for local elections, and we will reconvene May 16th, 2024, 7 p.m. Same location. If there's no other business for the school committee, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Stacy, seconded by Bino. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We have adjourned. Thank you very much.